Hi, and now I'm going to show you how each of these benefits works in real life. Okay, so the first topic that we spoke about relates to repeating tasks. So let me give you an example. So here we can set up a repeating task. Okay, so we can go on to new tasks within the software. Say, for example, for equipment, fire extinguisher. For example, the reference number is 101, maintenance due. Okay? The name of the company, the standard for which it is being catered for, who will do this task, okay? When is it due? And then we're going to say repeats, for example, every 1 year. Okay? Simple as that. As soon I'm noticing that you cannot see this information, so let me resize it a bit. Okay. So repeats every 1 year, for example. Okay? And as soon as that is done, then we can go ahead and create the task, and that will save this information within MS-ROG. So that is how we set repeating tasks. All the tasks will invariably come onto the same page, okay, telling us who is responsible for when and for what. We have the ability to sort by standard and by assignee, okay. Now going on to the second point, which relates to the event-based triggers, okay. So let's say that in this case, for example, for ISO 9001, we're going to add the task for a new joiner. Okay? Here we've just set up one task, create training plan, okay? But we can have as many tasks as we want. So for example, here, for an ISO maintenance client, we have 17 tasks. As soon as we click create tasks, all of those 7 tasks will get triggered, reminding us exactly of what we have to do when that particular thing happens. Okay, so in this case, for example, when a new joiner joins the company. We can create as many default tasks as you need for your organization to make sure that we are fully covering each and every need that your organization might have. Okay? An important element is the breach report that you can see over here. You can set for the breach report, let me zoom in just a little bit. For the breach report, you can set the name of the report, the frequency that you'll be getting the tasks of, at the time. You have the ability to decide whose tasks are you going to see and who's going to receive those tasks. And you can split it by overdue only or also the upcoming tasks. Okay? So like that, you're going to receive an email every 7 days at 8 a.m. for, in this case, for my own tasks, and the report is going to be emailed to myself to know what are my overdue tasks and what tasks I have in the next 15 days. Okay, so I believe that that is extremely helpful. Okay, reduces key person risk isn't something that I can really show you. Okay, but of course, as you can understand, having all the information in one place will invariably make it easier for us to store the information that is available inside these people's brains. Centralized documentation, so let me go ahead and show you the document control part of the software. Okay, so here is the document control, and in the document control it is split into different sections. Okay, so we have the information security. As you can see, it's giving us a link to the respective regulations. Okay, it's showing us the organization chart. Okay, and it's also giving us the version control history, who did what and when. By clicking on it, we can see previous versions. Okay, statement of applicability, we can see all the documents within the support system. Okay, so for customer feedback, maintenance record, corrective CAPA sheets, for example, etc., etc., and everything can be in one place. It's good to know that as regards, for example, customer feedback, we can also save links. So we can have Google Forms, Microsoft Forms, etc., all linking to the same place, also with the version history, so we can know everything that is happening. Okay, you can see that here there is an internal audit report. Okay, it will be generated automatically within MS-ROG. On the last part, we will have the internal audit findings. Okay, but for the internal audit findings, I will show that when we are doing the internal audit section, but all that information would be available within MS-ROG itself. I have already explained the version control and review reminders, and when, for example, the manual is due for review, okay, when it is due for review, this will highlight, will turn into orange to remind us that after 2 years we need to review it. After 3 years it will automatically turn into red to give us an obvious signal that we really need to update our manual to make sure that it is still relevant to our needs. Internal audit, self-service tool. This is something that's very important within MS-ROG. So here, let me just show you what you need to do. So company dashboard. Let's say that we're going to audit for ISO 9001, for example. Okay, so we're going to find the internal audit, and let's follow an audit that we've already done. So if you're going to create an audit, you can just create new. As you can see, you have different industries that you can choose to work with, which will have the information that is relevant to you. It will tell you what the previous audit findings were, okay, so you don't need to skim through documentation and have to look for stuff yourself. It will give you preloaded information, like when was the quality management system last approved, when were these processes created. It will tell you when was the last management system policy approved as well. And it will give you a link to document control. Whilst auditing the processes, okay, let me find a process that has been audited, for example, this one. So in this case, we know receive onboarding email introduced with client. So we're going to say receive the email on that particular date. Then and we're going to say no finding, which means that we found the information. It's a bit of an oxymoron, but no finding in ISO means that there is no negative finding, okay? The other options are opportunity for improvement, minor non-conformity, major non-conformity, or positive finding, okay? In this case, for example, we have a minor non-conformity, okay? So we will see that in the internal audit findings. So, okay, so minor non-conformity, it is here. Here we have the ability to add a task. This particular, so no evidence of such list, receive from client list of people who will get access. Make sure to get list of access from clients. Okay, for the sake of the argument, we're going to assign it to someone on a particular due date. Okay, and by creating the task, now we have one incomplete task. Once it is completed, so by clicking on the task, we're going to see the task, and if the task has been completed, we're going to know that that particular task has been completed, which will give us full visibility of what's going on. So imagine if you had to use to do internal audits on a Word document, then you're going to receive the audit findings via email, then you have to find that Word document, then you're going to assign those tasks to someone, possibly via another email, or maybe you have a project management tool, and then those tasks aren't linked with the internal audit findings. Like this, everything is in one place, and I know that for this particular finding, there has been a task assigned to this particular person, and that task is done. What a difference. And for the internal audit questions, the software comes pre-built with information that you can ask during the internal audit part. So for example, when it comes to people, is there an organization chart available? Are job descriptions available? Select a sample job description. And here you just have to write the job title, and the name of the person. Define the competencies needed. So it's just a matter of filling in the blanks. If you found the information, you're going to say no finding, or else you're going to choose any one of these. And mind you, this type of training is included when you are purchasing MS Frog. Okay? We are very committed to helping you succeed, to making sure that you are using MS Frog to all of its potential. Okay? And effectively, that is how an internal audit is done using MS Frog. Okay? So you have a bit more maybe on the internal audit questions. All the information is here. As soon as you complete this section, you can go ahead and mark it as complete. Okay? So you have questions about suppliers, questions about knowledge, about all the requirements of the standard, about equipment, you know. So this is the type of tool that will facilitate your work, and rather than having a generic Excel sheet with random questions, you know, if you find an internal audit checklist online, it will give you 101 questions, possibly even more, that even I, as a consultant with 14 years of experience, who has attended various lead auditor certifications for all the standards that I work with, sometimes these checklists confuse me, let alone someone who is much less experienced. These internal audit checklists that we have available over here come pre-built with a question and answer way, and then you just have to fill in the blanks without, you know, following the internal audit as a clause by clause nature, but rather to do what is actually required. And speaking of clause by clause nature, if you click on the bottom left of MS Frog, you're going to see how MS Frog addresses each clause within the standard. Okay, as you can see over here. And we have this document available for all the standards. Another benefit that we, or feature that we spoke about, relates to process standardization templates. And within MS Frog, so here you have templates, okay? And you have the ability to just preload these templates. But I speak with people and they tell me, we want to do an employee offboarding process because I want to introduce, for example, the idea of having an exit interview. But I haven't had time to sit down and really structure that process. I have a vague idea of how it has to look. With MS Frog, that vague idea is going to be turned into reality extremely quickly. Okay, so offboarding, okay? And you're going to find the process over here that you can use yourself. Okay, so let me show you how I did that. Again, so you're just going to see all the different processes that are already saved within MS Frog. As you can see, there's a huge quantity of processes already, and this list is, trust me, it's increasing on a day-to-day basis. We have professionals just working on that part alone. So employee offboarding, here is how the process is being mapped out, and the client wanted to do an exit interview. Here is that particular step that has exit interview. But if a person is leaving, we also have to make sure that we change the employee's password and or credentials. We have to process the employee's final payment. We have to sign off an exit checklist, maybe conduct another post-exit follow-up. We can make sure that we remove access to all company systems. So all of these steps must be considered when doing such a process, and rather than starting from a blank page, you can start from something that has been created by an ISO professional, and therefore it will 100% meet the needs of your ISO certification for this international standard that we are speaking about. Okay, so I think that this tool is extremely handy. As I've mentioned earlier, whilst mapping out the processes, we are also defining the different roles and responsibilities for each person within the process. So let me give you an example. So over here, for example, for the processes, so first of all, let me show you this. Within the quality manual, we're going to define the organization chart. So that is how the software will know what job titles we have within our organization. And here we have the ability to create the organization chart from within the software. Okay? But these are the different job titles that we have in this company. When mapping out the processes, okay, so for example, in this case, we're seeing the logistics after sales. We're seeing that, for example, in this fictitious example, chase auditor is the responsibility of the CTO. So the CTO has to do chase auditor within logistics after sales. If we go to job descriptions of the CTO, we're going to see chase auditor. So over here, we have access to all the steps that are the responsibility of this particular person, not only for one standard. So as you can see here, there are ISO 27001 processes, and also ISO 9001 processes. Okay, so we're seeing for the CTO, ISO 27001 processes, ISO 9001 processes. We're also seeing information coming from the communication, from the normative references, from the quality objectives. So it is giving us the ability to fully understand what has to be done by this particular person, and we also have the ability to download this document. Okay, so by downloading this document, now we've downloaded the job description of the CTO. Okay, and I'm going to show you this document right now. So this is what we actually get. And isn't that absolutely beautiful? Okay? So we have the date of the current version, we have the responsibilities coming from processes. For this process here, this particular person has these responsibilities, and these and the others. You know, this is the chase auditor, the one that we saw earlier. From communication, this person has that role. Normative references, you know, the competencies that are required. So everything is being created automatically as we speak. And the beautiful part is that if you update the organization chart, then the software will automatically update the job descriptions for your organization, and it will automatically update the quality manual. So rather than having to do the same thing 7 times, earlier this week I was filling in a bank application to open up a bank account, and they've asked me for the company name, address, VAT number, names of the people involved so many times I couldn't believe it. And with MS Frog, that problem doesn't exist. With MS Frog, if you put the information in one place, it will automatically go to all the other places where you need that information, avoiding double work, avoiding mistakes, and making sure that everything is always updated as per ISO requirements. Last but not least, by using this type of system, now you can make sure that all the people within your organization who's going to be involved in the management system have all the tools they need to be able to succeed. Okay, and like that, you can insource your internal audit function, as the name suggests. Okay, you don't need to have an external person doing this type of work, and you can work with a consultant on more strategic or on more specific problems that need to be solved, rather than the mundane compliance tasks that might be needed to maintain your ISO certification and to make sure that everyone is doing what had been agreed in the first place. Having documentation, creating the best document management system in the world, defining the processes to international standards, but leaving them as a Word document saved somewhere, and probably will also lose that document, is absolutely useless. And that is what we're trying to solve. With this software, we're trying to turn your management system into something that is alive, based on technology, available for everyone, to stop you from firefighting and start managing your business in a much more proactive way. If you like what you see and you'd like to have more information, feel free to get in touch. We would love to help you succeed on this journey. Thank you so much.